Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, partnering with donors from all walks of life to improve southeastern Virginia through grants, scholarships, and leadership initiatives. Learn more at hamptonroadscf.org.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Hamley. So what music is on your playlist? Beyonce, Common, Jay-Z? Or are you more R&B like Usher, John Legend, Kim? How about these folks? Beethoven, Brahms, Hailstork. Wait, what? Classical music on an African-American playlist? If you think the classics are not for you, think again. Orchestras around the country are working hard to bring people of color and particularly African-Americans to the classical music table, including our very own Virginia Symphony Orchestra. Black folks and classical music, that's next on Another View, right after this news from NPR and WHRO News.
Discussing today's topics from an African-American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Hamley. So Indigenous Peoples Day is this coming Monday, October the 9th, but here at WHRO, we're starting our celebration a few days early. So if you're getting ready to go out for lunch, time for you to go out and grab a sandwich or whatever, come on over to WHRO this afternoon. Right now, as a matter of fact, through about 2 o'clock this afternoon, we are doing a celebration of Indigenous peoples. It's a lunch and learn event, so you can bring your own lunch or you can stop by the food truck that's out there. That's Shauna's Rich Eats food truck. Chef Shauna is busy preparing all kinds of foods, and so you can come listen to Another View live, and then you will also have a lunch and learn where we're going to be talking about the invaluable contributions of Indigenous peoples. So that's going on starting now through about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Come on over, and we'd love to have you join us. And did you know that in the United States, 1 in 3 women and about 1 in 3 men experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime? In recognition of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Grove Church is hosting a fashion show with a purpose. Now, this event will take place from 3 to 5 p.m. on Saturday, October the 14th, and all proceeds will support domestic violence survivors. In addition to the fashion show, there will be remarks from former NBA player, author, and cultural activist Sean Foster. For more information, please email us at weareoursisters.keepers women's ministry at waosk@grovechurchva.com. So that's We Are Our Sisters Keeper Women's Ministry at waosk@grovechurchva.com. Just a couple things going on in the community today. So for a very, very long time, if you are African American and attended a classical music concert, you would definitely be in the minority. For most traditional symphony orchestras, the audience is older and white. But that's changing as the classical music industry realizes that it must become more inclusive if it is to survive. One orchestra that is leading the charge is our very own Virginia Symphony Orchestra, here to convince all of us that the classics are for all of us, is the executive director of the VSO, Dr. Andrea Warren. Hey, Andrea.
Hi,
how are you?
Good.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. And joining her is Tyler McKisson. He is a fellow with the orchestra this year. Hi, Tyler. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad. Now, in full disclosure, I, along with my colleague, Susan Fite of Susan Fite Consulting, served as consultants and provided diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice training for the Virginia Symphony Board, staff, and musicians. We worked with the organization for 3 years from 2019 through the spring of 2022. So it's been a year.
Yep.
There have been lots of changes, which is fabulous. But I did want to let people know that through my company, Sharing Info LLC, that I had the privilege of working working with this organization. So, Andrea, let me take you back for a minute. I remember the very first meeting that Susan and I held with the then board from several years ago. And one question that one of the members asked me was, why can't we remain exclusive? And wow. I left the meeting that day going, I don't know if I can do this, but Karen, your predecessor, was focused. The board president was focused. The musicians were focused, the leadership for the musicians, the staff, and we started the process. And you were in some of the trainings. Sometimes It was difficult.
Yes. But it was good. It was good.
But we had some pretty honest conversations. Why was it important for the VSO to embark upon this journey?
Because music should not be exclusively for one group of people. It should be for everyone, and it is for everyone. We experience music all around us, and a lot of times we don't even realize it's symphonic music. I mean, we hear strings and R&B, but we don't even associate that to being a part of symphonic music.
Exactly. So when particularly in the African American community, when somebody says symphony or orchestral or classical, they go, ugh.
Right.
Do you think that's because of lack of exposure?
I definitely think that's it. I also, I would walk around and talk to young kids, young people, and ask them about being exposed. And one of the comments that I would receive from them is, it's not for us. I'm like, well, then who is it for? It's for them. And so who is them? We shouldn't need to have that conversation because music doesn't have color.
Yeah. So a lot of times in my talking with people of color about classical music, they go, well, I'm intimidated to go to the concert. I don't know what to do. So let's talk about that dreaded, when do you clap?
Yeah.
But I mean, what are some of the things that people who are traditional symphonic listeners and frequent the orchestras, they go and they don't even think about it. But what are some of the barriers that used to be in place, or maybe in some orchestras are still in place, that keep other people who aren't as familiar from being comfortable to come to a concert?
I think, it's just like Broadway at some point. How do I dress? Is it Sunday best? Or can I come in my jeans? Because I might not have Sunday best. Can I wear tennis shoes? And then when you are sitting there and the lights go down and they start playing, when is the right time to clap? Because, people of color, they want to talk. They want to clap because they feel good. And it feels good to have that clap in between. But then, they come into a space, if they clap and no one else is, ooh, I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I'm sitting on my hands. But the fact of the matter is, it was never intended. Classical music was never intended for it to be silenced in between the movements.
Really? So where did that come from?
I think, and Tyler, you might know a little more, but I think it's when you bring something over into the States or from Europe here, that's
something
when it changed. In the translation.
Tyler, what do you think about that? I mean, do you, as a young person, do you hear some other young people saying that's why they won't go to a classical concert?
Yeah, or just that they don't have an interest in classical music. I mean, I think from lack of exposure, that's like one of the biggest things. As far as the clapping thing, I think nobody really minds if you clap in between the movements. Like, especially as a musician, like I don't care if you clap in between the music. It's not interrupting anything.
So it doesn't bother the musicians, but when you're in the audience and you get the side eye,
or you hear behind you, why are they clapping?
Yeah.
Because I've heard it. And I know better. And I clapped anyway.
And I have been that person, like, in high school that gave the side eye. Like, I knew when to clap, somebody else didn't. I'm like, there's more to come, right?
So if people come and they may not be dressed like others, or they may clap at the wrong time or whatever, is it up to that person to make themselves feel better, or is it up to the rest of the audience and the orchestra and everybody else to make them feel more inclusive?
It's up to everybody else, I think, because we're not going in spaces where we feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it starts from the time you walk in the door.
Absolutely.
No one cares what you have on.
Right.
Do you hear that, audience? Nobody cares.
But make sure you're clothed.
Yeah.
But no one cares, right?
So what are some of the things that the VSO did differently as you started working on being more inclusive? For example, I know that you hired Nikki Thorpe, who is the Director of Diversity and Engagement.
Yes.
What are some of the other tangible things that you can point to that were different from the way it used to be?
We're going out into the community. We're having free concerts in places where Black people or people of color feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Last December, we did Christmas at the Mount. It was a free concert. It was a mixture of Christmas music and gospel music. It was the best of both worlds.
Wow.
It was amazing. And even when I think about it now, I get goosebumps. It was Black people sitting in the audience have never heard the Nutcracker or that music played, or Christmas music played in that form, live with a live orchestra. They were clapping in between and everything. It was amazing. And then, well, you know how Black folks are in the Black church. Spirit was there, folks shouting. The musicians loved it.
See?
They loved it.
That is a
it
beautiful thing.
It was an amazing thing.
757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call to join our conversation. Particularly if you are a person of color, if you're African American and you have not attended a concert by the Virginia Symphony Orchestra, call us and tell us why and what would get you to the door. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Is cost a factor?
We hope not. We don't want it to be. Tickets start at $25, and I'm always worried about families of four being able to afford it. And, what can we do to make sure that people can afford to come into space? And look, here's the bottom line. People will pay for what they want to pay for. People will go buy those $1,000 football tickets. They go to see Hamilton, which I love Lynn, but I'm not paying $1,000. It's wonderful, but people pay for what they want to pay for.
Right. One of the other things that the orchestra took a deep dive in is what the orchestra looks like.
Yes.
And out of that came the African American Strings Fellowship.
Yes.
Tell us what it is, and then Tyler, I want to hear your story.
It is an opportunity. It's a way of leveling the playing field, of putting young Black musicians in with the orchestra, receiving a certificate, a graduate certificate from Old Dominion University. You get that experience by being in the room. It's like that on-the-job training. And then you're beginning to develop relationships, because just like anything else, is all who you know, right? So you're developing relationships. They are developing relationships with musicians. They're getting training from our musicians, and they're spending time they're playing a lot, as well as going out into the schools and working with teachers and their young musicians. So it's a combination of everything. It's getting them prepared. Not only that, they're doing mock auditions and getting feedback from those auditions. And that's going to help prepare them for the real thing.
So Tyler, you've had experience playing with orchestras, but you are a part of this fellowship. Tell us your story.
Just from like when I started.
Yeah.
The instrument.
What made you decide you play the viola?
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it all started in about 4th grade, where my elementary school's music program wanted to get, all the students excited and involved in music. So they brought, I think, a middle school orchestra to come and perform for us. And I just thought what they were doing looked so cool, like sounded great. I was like, oh, I want to do that. And so I started thinking about, what instrument I wanted to play, and I had settled on the flute, actually. I just thought it was the most beautiful instrument. I mean, now my heart is with the strings, but they had an instrument petting zoo in 5th grade, so that we could all like pick our instruments, try them out.
Yeah, tell them what a petting zoo is.
So basically, it's just an event where they have everyone stationed with all the different instruments, their families, and they let all the kids just come up and try them, see if they like the instrument and if they want to, start learning it. And so I did that, started right with the flute because I was like, that's what I'm going to play. And I struggled to make any sound out of it. And I was one of those kids that if I didn't feel like I was immediately good at something, I was on to the next. Like, oh, it's not for me. So I tried just about every other instrument until I got to the strings, was told I was too short for the bass and the cello, like too small. I mean, I was a small kid. But looking back, I'm like, yeah, even trying to play the cello now, it's too big. But I got between the violin and the viola. And of course, I didn't know anything about music or instruments. So they were the same to me, but the only difference there was between them was that the viola had a shoulder rest on it, which makes it sit more comfortably on the shoulder, and the violin didn't. So my perception was, well, the viola seems more comfortable. I'll go with that.
I can play this, and there you go.
Sometimes I wonder what my career would be like if I started violin.
So tell us about your education. Where have you been? What schools have you gone to?
Yeah, so I did my undergraduate at the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, and then I did my master's at the University of Colorado Boulder, and then I just finished my artist diploma at University of Cincinnati, CCM.
So what's your ultimate goal?
Play an orchestra full time.
Full time.
Yeah.
Play an orchestra full time. So how is the fellowship helping you?
I think the fellowship is helping me, I think mostly in ways outside of the orchestral part, because usually musicians, like we have to have, we can have an orchestra job, but it's also good to have, something supplemental like teaching. And that's something I haven't really had much experience in at all. So getting the experience of like going to the middle schools and helping the teachers, teach, learning how to do all of that is going to be really good.
And teach you a lot.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I remember in our trainings and in our conversations as the VSO was moving towards these different opportunities that are available was the idea that the musicians would talk about how expensive it is, number one, for your training, and how a lot of times children of color don't have the opportunities to have the private tutors. They don't start as early as other musicians, and that makes it difficult for them to become a full-time musician. What do you agree with that? And I mean, do you think that if you don't start at 2 years old, that you that you have no choice, no chance of getting into an orchestra?
Oh, you definitely don't have no chance. I mean, I even felt that when I was in high school during youth symphony, like all of the people I was playing with, like they had started a lot earlier, like 5, 6 years old. And I'm sitting here, like I started at 10, didn't even start private lessons until I was 15. But I think I'm making it. So
it can be done.
Yeah, it's all about, determination, really like enjoying the practice, the field,
So, Andrea, and I know you work with the orchestra, with the musicians themselves and all, but is financing in terms of private tutors and what it costs in order to be a musician, is that a major barrier for people of color?
I think so, and I think not only that, a lot of parents who aren't musicians or aren't artists have no idea what to do. Like, students are getting exposed in their elementary school and middle school. They receive an instrument that the school lends them, so they are working with the teacher, but then to go home and here's the other piece. They're practicing at home, and I know the parents are saying, "Oh my God, what's that noise?" Because I would say that about my daughter. What's that noise? Can you stop? But they don't know what to do. Like, they see their child's interests. It's easy to take them to a sports clinic or sports all around, but I have a kid who's interested in music, and I have no idea what to do.
I'm not sure what to do with them. So how did your family encourage you, Tyler?
Well, my mom just supported me once she knew I wanted to become a musician all those years ago. I didn't come from a musical family. That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, she also didn't really know what to do. It's been, a learning curve, but yeah, she's always been very supportive.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Chanel joins us from Williamsburg. Hi, Chanel. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hi.
So I kind of have a interesting question. So in terms of if a child is interested in playing classical music, what would be like a good first step, like in terms of them, kind of cultivating that experience for them? Like, how would I get them from the next one level to the next?
Okay.
One question I would have, has your child been exposed to the music, to classical music, either going to see a symphony play or the symphony coming to your child's school?
Yes, they have.
Okay. So I would start with the teacher, your student's teacher. If there's a music teacher in the school, having that conversation with that music teacher to get some idea of, your music teacher may have a list of teachers who provide private lessons. I think another obstacle sometimes is the cost for that. I don't know how much your instrument costs, but also there is a price.
Yeah, to pay for the actual
instrument. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But your teacher may be able to provide you with information where you can purchase one or where you can borrow one, because I'm sure there are probably music stores that will rent or lease instruments.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hope that answers your question, Chanel. Thanks so much for the call. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Lori joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Lori. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hi.
Dr. Warren, I'm Lori Naismith, and I had the privilege of introducing you to the Virginia Commission for the Arts Board when we met at Virginia Beach. And I am thrilled that Barbara has you on her program today. And I just want to applaud all of the wonderful outreach you're doing and reinforce a couple of things that you told the Commission for the Arts. And that is, we need for young people that are interested in playing in an orchestra to be able to have those private lessons, but more importantly, take an instrument home so it's with them, it becomes a part of them. Because so often they go to school, they can play the instrument, and then it gets, put back into the storage unit till the next class. And to be really good, you really have to practice. And I think that anybody that's out there listening in our wonderful philanthropic world, if you want to do something really wonderful, give Dr. Warren money so that she can get an inventory of instruments and teachers. And this program for young people to have mentors in the orchestra and then go out into the classroom. Those are the kinds of things that the commission, when I was on it, I mean, that is vital to our music education and to our quality of life. So,
okay. Lori, thanks so much for the call, and I'm sure Andrea appreciates that plug that you just
I
gave.
love that. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
But Tyler, I saw you nodding your head when she said, being able to take the instrument home and practice. Why is that important?
I think that was one thing that kind of really cultivated my interest, because it kind of grew. Like, I started, of course, really wanting to learn an instrument, but I wasn't serious about it until high school, when I was actually taking my instrument home every day and just playing around, because it was fun.
It became a part of you,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, but if it just stays at school, then it becomes, like class.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. If you're just joining us, we're talking about African Americans in classical music with the Executive Director of the Virginia Symphony Orchestra, Dr. Andrea Warren, and VSO Orchestra Fellow Tyler McKisson. Our phone lines are lit up, but before we go back to the phones, I do want to talk about something very important, and I want to bring some folks into our conversation. Joining us now is Deirdre Love, who is the Executive Director of Teens with a Purpose. They call her Mama D. Hi, Deirdre.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Thanks
and
for
then
having me here.
absolutely. And also her son, Andre Love, and he is the program. Oh, I had the exact name for it. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me tell you what his exact title is. Creative Program Manager. There you go, for the organization. How you doing, Andre?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good. Now, if you're listening out there, audience, and if you went to the community play and sing along that we had a couple of weeks ago at Norfolk State University, that is an opportunity for the community to come out and sit down and play with the Virginia Symphony Orchestra. And something magical happened that day. And Andre, I'm going to let you tell them what it was, but there was a combination of hip hop and classical music. Tell us about it.
All right. So for the community song event, we actually had the opportunity to recreate one of Mozart's pieces. I think it was Mozart 40, if I'm correct. And so the recreation consisted of actually getting to add percussion and give it kind of like a hip hop feel. And then we started to talk about the story of that piece, and just like how timely it was, and how it was like one of his best pieces. And there was really like a sense of like resilience, and like this is something that's going to be here for ages to come. So we took that conversation and that kind of that vision, and we crafted lyrics. Myself and one of our Teens with a Purpose members, Duran Glass. Shout out to you. And we got to practice with the symphony, with the community symphony, and worked out all the kinks, and it just turned out to be this beautiful piece. But what made the experience so amazing was just kind of exploring like the parallels of like what Mozart was doing, kind of changing the face and breaking the norms of what classical music is, and just having conversations like with Duran and shout out to Chosen too. He was a part of the process.
Wow.
And just like letting them know that what we're doing right now is changing the face of the genre, bringing young people of color to the genre, and vice versa, bringing the audience of the symphony to the culture that is hip hop, rather than just kind of ingesting lyrics and hearing the percussion and things like that.
Sure.
But but like really spreading like the knowledge and love like that comes along with what hip hop is, and just kind of just creating this beautiful experience. So yeah, it was great. Had a really fun time doing it too.
So Deirdre, when you had this opportunity, what did that mean to you in terms of the young people and their exposure to classical music?
So for me, I guess one of the things that opportunities like having them engage actively and respond to classical music is, we always say we belong everywhere, and part of what's missing from that statement is someone can open a door, but if you don't feel welcome or you can't see yourself inside of that space, it's just a beautiful statement. It's an open door that you may never walk through. So for me, having that opportunity, just the way Andre described it, it wasn't here you can do this, go off and do your piece and you're separate. It was It was an opportunity to fuse what a young person thinks and lives and experiences with what something Mozart wrote at the end of his life, and to hear that with all of those instruments in a place that, like Andrea said, many young people wouldn't typically want to walk into. They don't see themselves in those spaces or hear themselves. Mm-hmm. But this experience for me means that often people will have opportunities for our organization and ask, well, do you think the young people would like this or that? And I would say, gee, I really don't know, because they've never been exposed to it. You don't ask me that question until a young person has had a chance to be inside of that space, to feel like that's a space where I belong and where I'm welcome. And then, as Andre said, and then let the magic happen. Yeah. We did it another time with the symphony played one of the songs from Hamilton. I heard you all mention Hamilton, and the young people wrote their own verses, and that was the first time that they performed with the symphony in that way to something that is already popular. But standing in the space and rehearsing with the symphony, and your original lyrics are there, that's like, what we live for, to create those opportunities. And then that critical thinking about it, like talking about the artist, talking about the piece, talking about your story and where does that fit in with that, is all of that is what we do as an organization, but that's what I'm really excited about.
I tell you, you can hear the excitement in both of your voices, and I'm watching Andrea and Tyler's faces, and they are smiling. But Andrea, what do you say to I'm sure somebody is out there clutching their pearls.
Probably.
But it was beautiful. I'm really sorry that we didn't have a audio clip of it for me to play for the audience, but the experience and watching it and watching Andre perform and the other young man and hear the orchestra come together, it was a beautiful experience. So what would you say to that person clutching their pearls?
Girl,
tell
let
them it's
your
okay.
pearls go. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay. I mean, classical music is a foundation of all music. In fact, just like ballet is a foundation of all dance. Yeah, it has to start somewhere. And Deirdre mentioned feeling safe in the space or seeing yourself in the space, and that's why the fellowships are so important, so that students of color can see themselves in that space. And now, our partnership with Teens with a Purpose almost solidifies that, this is for everybody. Yeah, this will work. Absolutely. Yeah.
Deirdre and Andre, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and keep on doing what you're doing, because you're exposing kids to life, beyond the boundaries that they may find themselves in right now, and it's a beautiful thing. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, and we really appreciate the partnership with the symphony.
Oh, fantastic. That is great.
Love you guys.
I tell you. So I want to do something here real quick because we're talking about how music is everywhere. I asked WHRO FM, which we all know is a classical music station here at WHRO Public Media, but I asked them to pull some pieces from commercials that people don't realize are classical music. So let's play, Jordan, let's do the Aaron Copland, Hoedown. So that one is best known for Beef, What's for Dinner. That was the commercial.
I hear it when my father-in-law is watching his cowboy shows.
All right, let's try another one. And I know I'm going to mispronounce this name. I think it's Leo Delibes. Delib. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, there we go. Let's play that one and see if you recognize it. That was Flower Duet, and it is from the opera Lakme. I hope I'm pronouncing these correctly. And it's especially known for the British Airways ad, believe it or not. Do you remember that? So it's all around us, even when we get on elevators, right?
Yep.
And you hear the elevator music, it's all around us, but I don't think people recognize necessarily that it's happening. And not only do we have music that's familiar in terms of people playing, but we also have composers who are people of color, right? So let's listen to one who is from right here. Well, he lives here now. He's from New York. But Dr. Adolphus Hailstork, and here's a little bit of Amazing Grace fanfare. I wish we could had time to play all of it, right? And it's just beautiful. And then let's listen to one other very contemporary African-American composer by the name of Jesse Montgomery. This is Peace. So two very different styles.
Yep.
but still beautiful music. Our phone lines are lit up, so let's go to a call. Let's talk to Robert in Chesapeake. Hi, Robert. You're on the air.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Uh-huh.
I'm a 71-year-old black male who has been listening to classical music since my mother exposed me to it when I was yet a single-digit midget. I mean, I grew up listening to Tchaikovsky, Prokofiev, Gershwin, and also jazz. I think one reason that black people don't like classical music because they don't understand it. You tend to not like something you don't understand, and that's because they haven't been exposed to it. I'm not sure if any of you know the young violinist Randall Gooseby.
Mm-hmm. They're both shaking their heads. Yes.
Yeah. I used to work with his father, and Randall. His mission in life is to go around and play at schools to minority children to show them, how great classical music can be, and to inspire them. So I just think we need to expose people to it.
Okay, Robert, thank you so much for the call. We really appreciate that. Let's talk to Amy in Suffolk. Hi, Amy. You're in the air.
Hi. I have been waiting the whole week to say I am a Kings Fork High School parent of an orchestra student, and we need your help. We need everything you are talking about. Our orchestra is almost exclusively African-American students because Suffolk never desegregated. So we have a group of students who are excited about strings and what strings can bring to our community, but our resources are completely lacking. Please put me in contact with people who can help us get our program to where it should have been 17 years ago, because we are so far behind where we should be. I am happy to get you any information that you might need. Please leave me on the line to give you my number. I am just begging you for resources for my student and all of the other students who are in our orchestra program in Suffolk. Please don't forget about us.
We will not forget about you. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to ask Lisa or Dr. Barry Graham actually to take down your number so that we can have it. But you want to respond to her, Andrea?
Yeah. Our educational program goes all over the region, and we do come to Suffolk, our young people's concert, and that's typically for the middle school, the elementary school students. We have our SOAR program that goes into the middle and high schools to work with small groups of musicians. I would really suggest for this parent in particular to talk to your supervisor of music and make sure that the symphony is coming into your schools. Because we are here, we are available, and we want to be in every school or every school district that we're invited in. So we will take down your information, Amy. Dr. Barry Graham will get that for you. And thank you so much for the call. We hope we can help you out. That is fantastic. 757-440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Keith joins us from Hampton. Hi, Keith. You're on the air.
Hello. I just wanted to respond two things really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to classical music for a long time. I've got about 600 CDs. I would go to concerts more if the selection that was to be played in that evening was not quite so esoteric. Usually they have one thing that I want to hear, and then the rest of the stuff is just like, ugh. And so I like truly classical music, Bach, Brahms, Beethoven, Mozart, Haydn. And what happens is I get to a concert and I hear one thing that I love, and then I'm sort of stuck in a chair until, the curtain goes up or they stop playing for intermission, because the rest of it I don't want to hear. So I just really don't go. I just go ahead and go to buy CDs. The other thing I wanted to say is one of the reasons why you don't have a lot of African-American children who are interested in classical music is because of the perception that it's the other kind of music and that there's not a lot of money involved. With sports, you can always point to so-and-so who has $1 million contract, but it's hard to do that when you're talking about classical musicians or artists. And then also there's the aspect of being teased because, especially if you're a young man, you're involved in something that's not quite seen as, masculine. So a lot of kids who might have an interest don't head that way.
Okay,
those are just
Keith,
a few things I wanted to say.
Thank you so much for that call. And I wanted to get Tyler in particular to respond to your last comment. I mean, did you get teased because you like to play the viola?
Yeah, a little bit. For some reason, so many people told me, like, oh, that's a girl's instrument. I'm like, what? The violin's not a girl's instrument? Like, it's smaller. Like, what are you talking about?
So you just have to ignore them and keep moving forward if you really want to do this.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's all a social construct anyway. So,
and then the whole idea of pleasing. I guess you can't please everybody.
We can't please everyone
in the concert. But in terms of programming, do people, particularly now that you're starting to see the audience change a little bit, for example, do they ask for, can you play some African American composers as an example, or anything like that?
No, and we're welcome. I would welcome any suggestions. I mean, those that are really, there are some that are really into the classics, right? And I don't want to hear the new stuff. I want to hear just the regular stuff. Rachmaninoff, we're doing that. The piano concerto in a couple of weeks. Partnership with the Arts Festival for true classical folks. You definitely
there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum to classical music.
Yeah, we're trying to do a little bit of a lot of things throughout our season of 52 concerts per year. Eric Jacobson, the music director, is so creative and so enthusiastic and really use music to tell stories. And if you haven't been to see him and hear the symphony, you really want to come out.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk to David in Norfolk. Hi, David. You're on the air.
Hello, Ms. Hamley. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you so much for doing. Good, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this topic because I've been a musician for 42 years. I'm a classically trained percussionist. My mother, who you know personally, played piano and taught choir. My dad sang special occasions, and my sister played violin. And it wasn't unusual to hear Bach, Beethoven, and Mozart in the house. And Barry White said when he was growing up, his mother had him listen to classical music. So thank you so much for focusing on this topic.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Thanks so much for the call. We really appreciate it. I think we got one more call left. That's Elena I guess, from Norfolk?
Yes.
Hi, yes. Elena. You're on the air.
Thank you so much. I wanted to say I love the show. Classical music is everywhere, hidden in plain sight. And I just wanted to mention, I love what you did with the pieces, the selections you did. But I wanted to mention reverse engineering again. Even in cartoons, you find them where children are exposed very early but don't even know it. There is a piece by Camille Saint-Saëns, Symphony No. 3 in C minus, I think Opus 78 maybe. It is the theme for Babe. And if you start from the reggae arrangement, you reverse engineer and you get back to this other piece, and it is beautiful.
Oh.
So I just want to say that.
Thank you so much, Elena. We appreciate the call. So we do have some folks out there who enjoy classical music.
It.
So when we were talking about the spectrum of music, if someone is not ready yet to come to a formal concert, should they start by some baby steps maybe? Like, for instance, coming to the MLK concert or coming to the Playing in the Park. I know you guys do it a thing at Town Point Park, and you play, or listening to, you're about to have one called Totally 80s tonight and tomorrow, right?
That's right.
And so that's music that's a little more contemporary, just to kind of get your feet wet.
Yeah, I would suggest doing that. Evening of Hope, we have that coming up October 10th. That's going to be at the Opera House, and that really is a celebration and a recognition and identifying those families in our area in Norfolk that have suffered from gun violence, naming their loved one who they lost, but also celebrating those first responders who respond, come out to that event, help us really embrace those families, show them love, as well as the first responders. That is a free concert. MLK every January, also a free concert. Yeah. So the free concerts, come on out.
So if people go to your website, they can find out where to find those. All right, we've got about 2 minutes left. I'm want each of you to take 1 minute to convince someone who is afraid, not aware, for whatever reason, still thinks that classical music's not for them. And Tyler, I want you to talk to the young people.
Oh, yeah, I'm not even sure where to begin. I mean, yeah, classical music is for everybody. Like, I don't think you should feel like embarrassed or anything if you don't know, the social norms or, the etiquette, so to speak, of...
It sounds like the etiquette's changing a little bit too, right?
It's changing because it's so arbitrary and just kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, I think we're all kind of working to break down those walls, those barriers, and make it more accessible for everybody.
And if they have someone in their home that wants to play an instrument, do you encourage them?
Yeah, I do. And don't tell them they sound bad.
Yeah. Don't tell them.
Please don't tell them they sound bad.
No.
Andrea, why should we listen to classical music?
Why not? I mean, music is for everybody. Everyone is all around us. If you stop and just listen to what's on the radio, what's on your what's in the movies, just listen to that background music. The background music, classical music, it helps tell the story. It provides the emotions for the film or the TV show or whatever it is that you're streaming. So it's already a part of life.
And in case you guys don't understand, when Dr. Warren became the executive director of the Virginia Symphony Orchestra, she made history as the first Black woman to serve as CEO of a leading symphony orchestra in the United States and Canada, and is one of few African Americans to have ever served in an executive leadership role for the orchestra. The VSO is doing its thing.
Oh, thank you.
And that is fantastic. I must say to you, when we were at Community and I was the MC and the board chair at the time, who was Mike McClellan. Yes, he came up to me and he said, "Barbara, aren't you proud of the work that you've done? It makes me proud to see the progress that's been made." That's incredible. So thank you. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And we hope that you've enjoyed this edition of Another View. If you'd like to hear it again or share it with a friend, please visit our website, anotherviewradio.org, and download the podcast. And help us expand our reach by signing up for our eView newsletter. It's a once-a-week reminder of upcoming shows. You can register for it at anotherviewradio.org. Next week on Another View, the Another View Roundtable talks about current events and how they affect you. Our theme music is an original composition created especially for Another View by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Jordan Christie is our audio engineer. And Dr. Barry Graham answered our phones. Hey, check out some classical music this weekend. It can be soothing for the soul. Stay safe, everyone, and let's get together again next Thursday at noon for Another View.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, carrying out your charitable wishes forever, whether it's helping shelter animals, feeding the homeless, enhancing the arts, or supporting students. Learn more at leaveabequest.org.